The road to Italian unification was long and enduring. After the power-hungry actions of Francis Napoleon Bonaparte, the Congress of Vienna met in 1814 in order to reorganize the boundaries of the European countries to limit dominant powers such as Napoleon, but also limit the growing ideologies of liberalism and nationalism among the great powers. This left what we now know as Italy as divided states, mostly under the political authority of Austria, yet also some under the political authority of the Pope in the Papal States. The Catholic Church, led by the Pope, was a symbolic yet significant component in Italian unification. For the most part, the Catholic Church hindered the unification of Italy through its conservative practices. However, during the reign of Pope Pius IX, there was a perceived sense that the Church was in favor of unification.
In the early 1800s, the popes of the Catholic Church were very conservative in their practices and lack of reforms. After the fall of Napoleon, it seemed as if the progress that had been made was being taken away as a result of the European powers fearing modern change. Italy was taken back to the ways of the old regime, reenacting laws such as Catholicism being renamed as the sole religion. Other oppressive practices in the Papal States included legalization of torture, suppression of streetlights, prevention of building railways, restrictive education, vaccinations were made illegal, and the lack of Jewish toleration, which meant Jews were forced to live in ghettos, forbidden to own property, and attend church services. The popes in this time period from 1800 to 1846 include Pius VII, Leo VII, Pius VII again, and Gregory XVI.
Here's the role of the Catholic Church in unifying Italy. The Pope was the leader of the Church. He was conservative. Pius VII, 20 years in the lead. The falling Pope Leo IX would proceed. This is all so crazy. These 30 years are so famous. Books are forbidden and an increase in police. Judicial system of the Church. Judged by how Catholic you were, the popes restricted the Jews. The popes were conservative. Italy still divided. Pius VII and Gregory XVI continued this type of rule. The Austrian military used to suppress rebels. The early popes trying to control the liberals and nationalists. Yeah, we need a new pope in Italy. Yeah, we need a new pope in Italy. After the oppressive rules of the early popes, the arrival of Pius IX in 1846 provoked a sense of hope and excitement in the Italian states because of his promises for reform and to reduce the severity of governmental power. Historians suggest that the Pope had never intended on making his changes any more than temporary because he was a conservative Catholic. However, after making a few positive changes, the Pope was faced with many challenges and the revolutions of 1848, which changed his mindset and resulted in him returning to the former ways of the early popes in order to preserve his beloved church. This argument is widely debated among historians, as some believe that his policies solely changed because of his dedication to the church, while others argue that he made a political mistake by underestimating the intensity with which the people of his states longed for membership in the modern liberal world. This represents that some historians suggest that his fear of modernization and unifying too quickly was less out of a desire for the people, but rather done in order to protect himself as the head of the church. In 1846 there was hope. I opened my eyes and the liberal Pope standing there. Pope Pius IX will treat us fair. Press freedom, the Risorgimento, newspaper made by Cavour and Balbo, people had to say. They hoped it would stay. That there was a consulta and advisory board which allowed some elected representatives, and there was civic guard and people applause at his name. so you can travel. Force Leopold II in the secret police. We are Italia, we will unify. The church is helping Italy say yes. Papal states were in need of reform, so 1847 Pius Council meets, he makes it clear he's gonna make some changes here. And also in this year, Metternich was involved, and he increased Austrian troops in Papal states. Was a political error, uniting liberalists all over. And next was crazy revolutions of 1848. People fighting because Pius is changing. Still Italia, still not unified. The church is hurting, Italy far away. 1866 condemned liberalism and democracy in his famous syllabus of errors. In 70, papal infallibility seemed like he was above the government. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He was a former liberal who had become newly reactionary. The church was his first concern. So the government was never restored. And we say the church hindered the unification of Italy. Hope was perceived, but never came of anything.
To conclude, the Catholic Church hindered the unification of Italy due to its restrictive popes in the 1800s that attempted to slow liberalism and nationalism of the Italian people. The early popes were effective in their practices to limit the people, with Pius IX's original attempt to help those rising up resulted in the growth of more of these ideologies. After conflicts, Pius IX altered his political views for multiple reasons that are debated. However, the conflict between Catholicism and liberalism ultimately led to him choosing Catholicism, which negatively impacted the speed at which Italy unified.